Good morning. Good morning. Rise and shine. It is the Green Nurse time. Welcome to the Green Nurse Podcast, where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing. We're here to help you start the day off in the most amazing way so you can live your best life. But before we get started, I have a quick little video I want to show you all. Here we go. We're here to educate and empower patients to make choices that are best for them. We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I was cannabis agnostic for many, many years. And you know, the more research I did, the more I discovered that cannabis is this amazing medicine.
I was told that I had a 4-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctor really told me he couldn't do anything else. He gave me her name and she called me and she came to my house. She started to give me cannabis. My oncologist was puzzled because he couldn't find the cancer anymore.
All of the learning that we get comes from the Green Nurses Group, comes from their support, comes from their guidance. I trust everything that she says.
Simply meet people where they're at. The plant doesn't, stress to grow, so we don't stress to share it. We're healing people.
Cannabis has been used as a medicine for tens upon thousands of years. Here's the big message. Cannabis needs to be federally legal. We need to have laws that are the same across all 50 states that allow access to anyone and everyone who wants to utilize this powerful medicine.
And there you have it, everyone. It is time to legalize cannabis. This is why we show up here every single day, every single morning, is for education and empowerment so you all can make decisions that are best for you. I just want to welcome Kathleen Graham. She is an amazing cannabis nurse in the space. She is a true rock star. She's been on the podcast numerous times. And I'm really, really grateful that she's here with me today to talk about Throwback Thursday. So Kathleen, for the new viewers, will you please introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. I am Kathleen Graham. I have been in nursing and healthcare field for 25 years, and I got my specialty in hospice and palliative care. Been in that for a little over 12 years. And that is where I got my experience with cannabis. When all the hospice patients were coming in utilizing it, I, as a nurse, became curious and started prodding my employer to change policy and bring education to the nurses that needed it so that we could meet the patients where they were and be effective nurses for what they were going through and what they were using in their body.
There you go. Awesome. Really, really great work. For our new viewers, tell them about, I want to really brag about you, Kathleen. Tell them about that award that you won years ago. I mean, you've been in the space for a long time doing a lot of amazing things. And so I like to focus in on the good stuff because cannabis nurses, we are the change agents. We are here really in revolutionary times, and we're changing how we look, approach, and take care of patients. And so I get the goosebumps just saying it. I want to remind you of that amazing award that you received. So for our new viewers, just tell them what you received and why you received it a couple of years ago, because this is Throwback Thursday after all.
Yes, it is. So in 2019, I was honored by Americans for Safe Access to be the first and only registered nurse to receive their Medical Professional of the Year award. And it was just such an honor to be there and receive that award for the work that I had done. And that started back in 2011 when our bills in the state of Michigan, our medical marijuana bills, and started to change. And I started going to Lansing. It was from essentially 2012 through 2016 where I spent a lot of time testifying and speaking with our elected officials in order to help them understand what patients go through so that we could have a product that was labeled tested with a microbiological analysis and for what the product contained, also the CBD and THC content and stuff like that, and had gone to the federal level to also advocate for that, and joined Americans for Safe Access in that endeavor. And because of my education work that I provided and my journey through the legislative bodies, I won the award, and it was such an honor to be there and know that I helped shape these laws in our state of Michigan to help protect patients and to let them know patients do have certain rights.
There you go. Patients have rights. Patients, we need to be taking care of our patients, the entire human experience, bio, psycho, social, spiritual. Really, really important that we care for the entire human experience and to put our own judgments aside. That's the 6th National Council State Boards of Nursing call to action is the nurse shall not approach the patient with judgment in regards to their preferred method of treatment. So that's really powerful. Thank you, Kathleen, for everything that you do. Throwback Thursday awards for our girl, Kathleen. And now we're going to dive into Throwback Thursday. I thought we would get right into it. We're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system history and endocannabinoid deficiency and how we boost and support and nourish the endocannabinoid system with some of these cool, handy dandy slides. So while I get the slides up, Kathleen, will you talk just a little bit about, when CBN was discovered, when THC was extracted, when the endocannabinoid, just give a little brief history review while I pull this little slide up for everyone.
I will. So back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, actually, cannabis was in the pharmaceutical industry. And it was places like Eli Lilly and Park Davis and Grimwald and Company that made products that you could go to your local pharmacy and pick up. And then if they didn't happen to have a cannabis medication that you needed, then your compounding pharmacist compounded it right there specifically for you. Sometimes in the medical profession, in the pharmaceutical industry, we can be a little bit blind. And so we want to point out that it was in 1937 when the political aspect outlawed cannabis. Inside the pharmaceutical industry, they didn't have any idea. And they were still exploring and researching cannabis. And it was in 1942 that a laboratory started to extract Delta 8 and Delta 9 THC. And at that point, it had already been illegal. So at that point, when 1942 came, they removed cannabis from the U.S. Pharmacopoeia. And that's when the pharmaceutical industry realized we can't do this testing anymore. And that's when prohibition started inside our medical profession. So I find it very interesting that not many people know that it was in the pharmaceutical industry prior to prohibition starting, and had, then it was all put up on a shelf and kind of ignored. And had Raphael Mechoulam not said, I need a project to work on, and took that research back down off the shelf and gave us, that's what led to our modern day knowledge of this plant, that we have a system inside of our body. So even though it started way back in the day, had it not been for Raphael Mechoulam waking it up, we wouldn't have the information that we have today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that leads us into what? As we started to evolve and grow and learn and research, the endocannabinoid system was discovered in 1988. And as we've continued along, Dr. Ethan Russo started talking about the endocannabinoid deficiency back in 2004. I found literature from him in 2004, 2008, 2016. And he talked about a correlation between migraines, fibromyalgia, and irritable bowel. So as you can see up here in this handy dandy slide, right, there are conditions that are related to an endocannabinoid deficiency. So I'm just going to talk just a little bit about what that is. And I want you to look at my cute little umbrella there that's next to the human body. So you all hear us talking about the endocannabinoid system, and you've heard me make reference to consider our bodies being an umbrella And all of our different organ systems are the spokes of the umbrella that make up the entire umbrella, our body. And the different fabric pieces on the umbrella are those messenger signaling systems that give messages to our body or the spokes of the umbrella to either do something or stop doing something. The very tippy top of the umbrella is the endocannabinoid system that blankets on top of our entire body, right? We have cannabinoid receptors on all of the cell surfaces of all of our organ systems and at the neurotransmitter signaling junction sites. And if you all give you a reminder of what neurotransmitters are, they're the messenger signaling systems. I'm sure you've heard of dopamine, serotonin, and opioid signaling. So we make components in our body like the plant. So if you look at this, how cool it is, right? So we make internal endogenous cannabinoids very similar to the plant. We have an endocannabinoid system, not because of the cannabis plant, but because we make components in our body like the plant. You know, we make anandamide and 2-AG. The plant makes THC and CBD. So it's just a really kind of a cool relation. So as we said before, if we don't make enough of our own internal endogenous cannabinoids at the very tippy top of the umbrella, what happens? Messages don't get down to where they need to go. So when you look at the endocannabinoid system works on the entire umbrella all at the same time. And so I love this word, pleiotropic. So pleiotropic means that there is a substance that has a physiological response in multiple different physiological symptoms in our body. And so cannabis works that way, working at mind, body, and spirit all at the exact same time. The endocannabinoid system is like an on-off switch going on and off throughout the day to keep our umbrella going up and down nicely. So getting back to conditions related to the endocannabinoid system, you know, what the irritable bowel, the fibromyalgia, and the migraine, they all manifest as hyperalgesic states that must be clinically diagnosed based on subjective criteria, as well as lack of characteristic tissue pathology. So in other words, there is no objective laboratory findings when it comes to irritable bowel, fibromyalgia, and migraine. So in other words, they can't say, oh yeah, this test proves this. All are diagnoses of exclusion that often generate very extensive negative diagnostic workups. And so what happens is these different hyperalgesic states display anxiety, depression. So you think about that chicken and egg dilemma. And a lot of people that have these conditions have been labeled psychosomatic, right? Or they have these wastebasket diagnoses. You know, patients are going from clinician to clinician to clinician to try to figure out what's going on and what's wrong. You know, and when you think about the endocannabinoid deficiency, if we're not making enough of our own, it just makes sense. And there was a radiographic image that I did look at one particular time when it looked at migraine headaches. Patients that had migraine headaches that have an overabundance of CB1 receptors in their brain, actually looking for the anandamide molecule to help dial down what's going on in their body. So getting back to my handy dandy slides here, the comorbidity is extremely clear with these three diagnoses. And I just like to just talk about these because it just does show a correlation. And why it's so important to me personally is because as a patient, if doctors and nurses and clinicians knew about the endocannabinoid system, I know for a fact I wouldn't have suffered so much because I do have a history of migraines. So the comorbidity for migraines, fibromyalgia, and irritable bowel is 97%. So they looked at 201 fibromyalgia patients. 97% of them also had primary headaches. Wow. And then there was another migraine headache where 35.6% of 101 chronic daily headache users also fit into the criteria of fibromyalgia. 31% of irritable bowel patients were also diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and 32% of fibromyalgia patients also fit the criteria for irritable bowel. So while some of these patients suffer from only one of these symptoms, there is a risk to develop all three or others, extremely common. So Kathleen, what is your experience with the endocannabinoid deficiency?
I find the same. Sometimes it's really hard to get people to understand that when your system is overworked, it can be depleted. It's no different than any other system, and we just need some things to help support it and get it back online.
Right.
I've also found that it can lead to multiple disease processes. It's rare that we have somebody come in that only has one of these disease processes. It's usually coupled with another one.
Exactly. So, one of the questions I get all the time from clinicians, they'll raise their hand. They'll be like, "Oh, Sherri, I love that I make components in my body like the plant. If I make components in my body like the plant, why do I need the plant? Number one. And number two, what causes the endocannabinoid deficiency?" Well, guess what? You've heard us nurses years and years and years telling you about all the health and wellness tools to support our mind, body, and spirit, right? So the reason why we're not making enough of our own is because we're either doing things that don't support our endocannabinoid system, we're making unhealthy lifestyle choices. So everything that we do either supports the endocannabinoid system or doesn't. And I really love it when people say, "Oh, what about everything in moderation? What about everything in moderation?" Well, let me just tell you something. You wouldn't take rat poison in moderation.
Exactly.
So it's just really, really about choice and being aware. So when we look at the endocannabinoid deficiency, right, and why we have it, there's a lot of different reasons why, and you can see this slide. As we get older, we don't produce enough of our own internal endogenous cannabinoids. Genetics plays a huge role, predispositioning someone that may have an endocannabinoid deficiency if specific conditions run in a patient's family, right? Obesity, poor diet, fast food, fried food, fake food, artificial flavors, artificial coloring, trans fat, hydrogenated oils, high fructose corn syrup, chronic alcohol use. I could put side by side, I could put the body, two bodies right here. You feed one with alcohol, one with cannabis. Boy, are you going to see a huge difference in all of the physiological processes in our body, right? Chronic alcohol use down regulates the endocannabinoid system. I saw another handy dandy slide of a person that drank 2 drinks really quickly, and it showed the same thing. An overabundance of CB1 receptors being created in the brain to protect the brain from the alcohol. I thought that was mind-boggling when I saw that. And then some of the other things we have in the slide. So polypharmacy, I'm sure you've seen that, Kathleen, polypharmacy is if you're taking 5 or more medications, there's a 50% chance that those drugs are interacting. If you take 10 or more medications, 100% chance that those pharmaceuticals are interacting, and probably not in a way that is beneficial to you. The other thing that patients don't realize, and I started to study this as I started to realize how important nutrition was, more so than ever, was that a lot of pharmaceuticals have a drug nutrient depletion, meaning that if you're taking that pharmaceutical, those particular nutrients may not get absorbed as readily or utilized appropriately in our body for what we need. So it's important to really look at all of our pharmaceuticals. Yes, chronic stress, right? What's about chronic stress? We're in stressful times right now.
Yes.
Right?
I think about the only people that are not experiencing stress right now may be a toddler that's just interested in playing with bubbles or running after dinosaurs.
There we go. There we go. Here it is, right? Lack of touch and laughter in interactions, right? That can cause stress. That can actually cause a decrease in the amount of the anandamine and the 2-AG that we make in our bodies. Chronic stress, lack of exercise. Motion is the lotion, right? When we work out, what are we doing? We're stimulating those endorphins. What stimulates the endorphins? The endocannabinoid system, the anandamine molecule that starts to circulate in our body. And I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, that's kind of cool. What a smart system to give us a bliss-like feeling to remind us to keep exercising,
Definitely. I think we need something there to outweigh the, oh my goodness, of the exercise.
I agree. Well, the other cool thing too, we'll tie in cannabis to exercise, is that I interviewed an Olympic athlete years ago, and this was back in 2018, and she was doing an Olympic athlete study in regards to cannabis and exercise. And she interviewed over 8,000 Olympic athletes and did a poll to find out about how, if they used cannabis. So out of all 8,000 athletes, this is interesting, 25% of them used cannabis every day. Okay, now when we talk about cannabis, we're talking about multiple different components, not just THC and CBD, because there's multiple different ways of using it. And we've talked about that before. Inhalation, topicals, patches, creams, suppositories, inhalers, you name it, edibles, capsules, tinctures. So there's so many different ways to use this plant, but I found it very interesting that 25% of them used it every single day. Interesting. The other thing about exercise that I want to mention, why CBD may be really good for exercise. Now we know it's going to improve recovery time. It's going to decrease inflammation. It's going to make you feel good. But the other thing that CBD does when you exercise is when you produce that anandamide molecule that starts circulating in your system, CBD actually prevents an enzyme from breaking down that anandamide molecule, so you have that bliss-like molecule circulating in your body a little bit more. So basically, the next slide is going to talk about how we support the endocannabinoid system. The bottom line is that we need to do less of what doesn't support the endocannabinoid system and do more of what does. Let's get into our last handy dandy slide. Here we go. All right. I bet you this slide looks really common to you all because in essence, all it is taking the endocannabinoid system deficiency and reversing it, looking at different things. For example, food is medicine, whole foods, adaptogens, supplements, regular exercise. I said motion is the lotion, stress management, meditation, breath work, mind-body medicine, right? And I have a little slide up here that says massage. Next few slides we'll review. This slide is actually from a couple of different presentations that I've done, and this presentation happened to be the massage school that we taught at. And we were able to actually look at research and science with massage and how it affects the body, as well as the endocannabinoid system using cannabinoids. And the response was very, very similar. So massage actually does support and nourish the endocannabinoid system. So does acupuncture, chiropractic care, essential oils, aromatherapy. We have all of these different things. What are some of the things, Kathleen, that you have found that supports the endocannabinoid system in your personal experience?
Definitely the food that we eat. It definitely affects the way that our body feels. And I will have to say, there's nothing better than a massage that will help you feel better. I would absolutely, hands down to the massage therapists that are out there that every day help people feel better by the movement of their hands. It's just amazing what they do. But with that being said, the food, nutrients, if we put into our body a lot of the processed foods that full of the food coloring and artificial preservatives, we can start to feel that our energy goes down and our body just doesn't feel as good. So nutrition, and that's one of the things that we teach when we do this, is that cannabis is a plant, and we also have other plants that we eat, and including oranges, apples. They come from plants, green beans, spinach, all of that stuff. And it's hard to get people to understand nowadays when they think food is a box of Hamburger Helper,
Right. Well, here's a cool analogy about Hamburger Helper. All right. So when you think about this, right, back to the endocannabinoid system, our enteric nervous system, our gut, our mouth to our butt, right? Digestive tract communicates, our microbiome communicates to our central nervous system, our brain, via the endocannabinoid system, right? So that gut-brain connection connects from the endocannabinoid system. So just imagine Hamburger Helper in your gut, maybe filling you up, but where are the micronutrients to support cellular function? Where are the micronutrients to support the cell that's making up your entire body? Where are the micronutrients that are feeding your brain, right? If they're not there, guess what happens? Our brains get confused. They try to figure it out and they don't do a good job.
Yes, and we get depleted on our endocannabinoid system, and it's not sending the right signals, and we're not functioning at our optimum.
We are not functioning at our optimum. So basically, Kathleen, what is going on? We're wrapping up. We're going to close down the shop today. We talked about the endocannabinoid system, some history on cannabinoids, and the endocannabinoid system, and all of the things to support and nourish it and what causes it, and the 3 specific conditions that Dr. Ethan Russo spoke about, which just is really very, very, very powerful. So for so many people that are out there that are suffering from fibromyalgia, that are suffering from irritable bowel, that are suffering from migraine headaches, because they are chronic debilitating illnesses. I've pretty much experienced them all. So I know. So I know. Yeah. So let's see who's here really quickly. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Sherri. Good morning, Carrie Lee. And good morning, Deanna. We are really, really excited to have you all here today. Seriously, cannabis is about community and coming all together and sharing information, elevating the plant, bringing plant wisdom into our lives isn't only going to help ourselves, but it's going to help others. So we have a community. We have a community right here, the Green Nurse Holistic Caring community that we want to invite you all to. And the community is really powerful. And the reason why is because we're creating an ecosystem of not just nurses, but providers across the globe that have a clinical understanding and are utilizing cannabinoid therapeutics into their practice. That's huge. So there's nurses, there's providers from all walks of life across the globe. And then we have people and patients that are coming in to learn. And so the community is free. There's a free introductory to cannabis course for everyone that joins. Free monthly webinars. We're all patients. There's a free patient portal, free patient support group, and what I love is a free book club. And you don't even need to own the book. Boom. So I love this. Elizabeth Mack wrote Cannabis for Health, Become a Coach. And there's a lot of people to be like, I don't want to become a coach. I'm good. I don't want to do this. Guess what? You are your own coach, right? There's no one more important than you. And you know your body. And this is a great tool book, not for you to coach other people, but even to coach yourself. And so we go through this book month by month, actually every 2 weeks, and we're discussing different areas and answering questions. So we really, really want to have you all in the community. We're doing some great work. Kathleen's part of the community. All the green nurses are part of the community. And like I said, we want you to come along with us. All right. Kathleen, any words of wisdom for this Throwback Thursday?
Be grateful for every day that you have and find happiness in every moment that you can. It's going to make a difference in your life.
Difference in your life and the lives of others. So Kathleen, I'm honored that you're here with me today. Kathleen's going to be joining us next Tuesday as well for Terpene Tuesday. And we're going to continue on. We're bringing on different nurses to share their expertise, their love, and their passion of plant medicine. So really honored to have you here. Congratulations on your award from many years ago, Throwback Thursday. We love you all. And remember what it's about. It's about living your best life and helping others do the same. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.